You've been trading goods between ports for the last 48 hours straight in your hauler and you're on your last run. An 8-ton shipment of liquor that will hopefully make you break even after a few run-ins with pirates. It's been a busy few days and you're knocking off soon anyway. It can't hurt to have a bottle to yourself, right? If the buyer notices, it's a shipping error, but the chances of one bottle out of 8 tons being noticed is pretty slim. You put your ship on Super Cruise Assist, crack open a bottle and relax. The liquor is smooth, rich, and ends with a sharp bite. Perfect. As you reach your destination, you also reach the end of the bottle. You're feeling a little bit hazy, and in all truth, you're not really with it. As you approach the station, you request docking and make a fatal error. You hit boost instead of dropping the landing gear and lose control. Suddenly, you're in an escape pod and your perfectly good ship is in a million pieces. There's nothing for it. You can't afford the insurance on your ship and you'll have to take the free Sidewinder and make the flight of shame back to your home system to start over. The Sidewinder Mark I is a ship that needs no introduction to any existing pilot in the galaxy. It's the first ship that a newly qualified commander will take on when they start to forge their own path. It's also the first ship that many pilots will destroy either by grossly underestimating their opponent or something a little bit more benign like yeeting it into a station wall when attempting a reverse departure for the first time. The Sidewinder is another ship manufactured by Faulcon DeLacy, initially released in 2982 without a frameshift drive and primarily designed for atmosphere and planetary surface scouting. However, a little later down the line as technology progressed, Faulcon DeLacy managed to shoehorn their Spin Ionic MV drive into the Sidewinder, opening up the possibility to all Sidewinder pilots, allowing them to use their ship in a more varied capacity. A lot of pilots will fly their Sidewinder for a little bit to learn the basics, and as soon as they have the credits, scrap it in favour of a different, arguably more capable ship for their chosen career path. But the Sidewinder isn't a heap of rusted space junk as many would have you believe. It's a capable ship in some situations if you learn to use it within its limitations. It's the smallest ship out there aside from ship launch fighters, coming in at 14.9 by 21 metres with a height of 5.4 metres, and this gives it a tiny hit profile in combat. Aesthetically it's pretty basic, but for 32,000 credits you get what you pay for, or not if you've gone down the insurance route. The cockpit is cramped with only a single seat, and under boost the whole ship shudders like an addict going through withdrawal. For cargo running, the Sidewinder has a maximum unshield capacity of 16 tons, so you can't pack a lot into it, but given its mid-range jumping capability and manoeuvrability, you can use it for trading data between ports, or if you install a cargo hold, some limited rare goods trading. Hold capacity brings similar issues for mining, plus with only 2 small hardpoints, core mining's unviable since you have nowhere to stick a seismic charge launcher. As with all jump-capable ships, exploration is possible. You can squeeze 30 plus light years out of the frameshift drive with some engineering and if you're willing to make some sacrifices around integrity and functionality. Although if you're going to be setting the Sidewinder down on a planet along the way, you want to be careful because one wrong move can end in, well, a small Sidewinder-shaped burnt patch on the ground. But there is something rewarding about taking the most basic of ships out into the black away from home, especially as the original iteration didn't even have a frameshift drive. As for combat, the Sidewinder would be better suited to the name Vulture, more so than the actual Vulture. I had a rant previously about the Vulture being named as such because it doesn't need to rely on carrion, but for the Sidewinder, this actually makes a little bit more sense. I found it's excellent for lying in wait as the local security forces make a dent on the riffraff, then swooping in to finish the kill and take the bounty payments. For anything more, it's certainly possible to take down other ships if you've got the skill and the patience, but there's a caveat. And that caveat is that it's very easy to take on more than you can chew, especially given how you only have those 2 Class 1 hardpoints. You also have the weakest shields in the galaxy, and your armor strength is the second lowest, only slightly better than the Eagle. Fortunately though, rebuys are very cheap. Usually at this point I'd ask whether it's worth buying the Sidewinder, so let's do that. Is it worth either buying or hanging onto if you've still got your original one in the hangar? It sounds pretty cut and dry on the face of it. You can only arm tiny pea shooters for weapons, it's as fragile as a soggy piece of tissue, and it isn't spacious in the slightest. It's a ship not worth using for any longer than you have to, right? Nuh-uh. Wrong. The Sidewinder, as with other small ships, can be great fun to fly. With G4 dirty drives, mine hits about 630 meters per second under boost, and it could go faster, although with an unengineered A-rated power distributor it'll still have trouble keeping up without engineering. But taking it to an engineer and applying the charge enhanced modification should mitigate that issue. It can also serve as a great testbed for learning new techniques. If you want to try learning how to fly with flight assist off through a dense network of canyons, it's far better to take something cheap as the sacrificial lamb for when you misjudge a boost or turn and plough your ship into the side of a mountain. Plus, in this case, the turn rate of the Sidewinder does help. Something else I use it for is for testing weapons, assuming the weapons I'm after are also available in Class 1. One other thing that I use the Sidewinder for is to bring home my larger ships to a central location. If I've got ships scattered and need to recall them, it's a hell of a lot cheaper to take the Sidey out to pick them up, then transport the Sidewinder back to my carrier once I've brought the bigger ship home. Transporting an Anaconda across a few systems can be thousands of credits. Transporting the Sidewinder back is pocket change in comparison. There are pilots in the galaxy that will claim that their beluga liner is in the top 1% of all liners out there. That may be true, but the Sidewinder isn't a liner and is in the top 1% of all ships, in my opinion. Not every pilot will fly a Vulture because they're not into combat. Not every pilot will fly a Federal Corvette because they don't want to do that particular grind for the Federation. And not every pilot will fly a Type 7 transporter. Partly because it looks like a brick with a canopy, and also they may just not be into trade. But they will fly a Sidewinder. One way or another, the Sidewinder will determine the route for all pilots taking the galaxy, and for me, that's why it's the top 1%. According to Inara, the Sidewinder is the third most common ship in the galaxy, only being beaten by the Python and Anaconda, which, given that all three ships are made by Faulcon DeLacy, really does go to show that the Sidewinder's charm has probably swayed some people away from the competitors like Lakon and Core Dynamics. Plus, there's always something rewarding when you go and accomplish a feat in the smallest and cheapest ship in the galaxy. So, TLDR, give the Sidewinder a chance. You never know, it might surprise you. Plus, trading it in would only get you a few credits for a few bottles of liquor anyway, and flying while drunk probably isn't a very good idea. As always, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoy it. If you did, feel free to share it out there, and also like, comment, subscribe, all of that, I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you've got a Sidewinder in your hangar that comes out on occasion, I would love to hear what you use it for. Take care, 07 to you all, and finally, the Sidewinder will never give you up, it'll never let you down, it'll never run around, and it'll never desert you.